Jordan and I got let out of the garage this weekend by Susie and Chelsea. We went out and had a little leisurely day. Check this out. You're going to love this segment. We're at the Coupé Classic in Marysville, California. This is a two-day event for vintage, post-vintage, modern. We're seeing some great racing and some amazing bikes in the pits that we're going to be showing you right now. Let me ask you a question. Who's in charge here? An event like this gets put on, and it's put on by a promoter like this, Dave Coupé. Dave, how long have you been doing this now?
Well, I really started in about 1996, and I ran those races from 96 to 03. Didn't do any until about last year. We got talked into doing it again.
Well, I think a lot of people are really happy that you're out here putting the race on, and I'll tell you what, I bet you there's a lot of plus 50 experts out there that are happy you're on this side of the fence and not on that side.
I got hurt a little bit a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to try to ride today for the first time. So I'm going to ride tonight, maybe tomorrow too.
Dave, thanks for all you do for the sport of vintage motocross, for putting on this event. And look, it's a great turnout. It's a beautiful day. Thanks again for all you do. Dave Coupé.
Thanks, Joe.
Of all the bikes I saw today, the one that really captured my eye was this 66 twin port CZ that belongs to Doug Brown. Doug, tell me something. How long have you owned this bike and how long do you race it?
I bought this bike 4 years ago from a gentleman in the Bay Area, and I race it almost every month. I'm an ARMA member, and I travel the country. I've been to Unadilla, I've been to Diamond Dons. This is my favorite race bike. I have side pipes also, but this bike is highly ported. It's a thoroughbred race bike.
Tell me this, there can't be many of these left in America. How many were made or how many were produced at the time in Czechoslovakia?
Well, the 250 twin ports are relatively common. They made 2,500 of them over a 5-year period, 63 to 68. But the 360s, they made only 700 of these and sold to the public. And in the entire 4-year period there, 700 bikes in the 60s. There's probably less than 500 left in the world.
Now, you've got some other bikes over here, too. They look absolutely spectacular, a lot cleaner than your race bike, but they're 360s also.
I've had a lot of CZs, Joe. I bought a brand new 72 yellow tank from Tony De La Torre in Mid-Valley. I've never had another bike other than CZs. These bikes are minimum at $12,000, and they don't include the $700 shocks and the Makunis and the porting that we put in. Several of my friends, Joe, have told me I'm crazy for racing an expensive bike.
I don't think you're crazy. I just think you're passionate about CZs, and you've got the best ones out there as far as I could see. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak to us. Your bikes are absolutely incredible, and it's nice to see that you get them dirty, too. The guy bringing us all the action today, Gary Plegier, here at the Coupé Classic. What's going on? How many riders do we have here, and what can we expect to see all weekend?
Well, to be honest with you, Joe, I haven't got an official count, but I'd say we probably have 75 to 80 riders today. I'm hoping tomorrow we get a few more, but it's been some great racing here in these 45-minute GPs today.
What are some of the most exciting things you have seen?
Well, I'll tell you, man, there's been a lot. Right now, the battle out there between David Jorgensen and Mike Sage has been off the hook, but almost in every class, there's been a couple of really good battles.
Gary Plegier, top shelf announcer here in Northern California today. Thanks for talking to me, Gary.
Anytime, man.
We're with Ed Sims, and we're taking a look at a 1966 CZ 250 twin port. Ed, tell me something. How long have you owned this bike? How often do you race it?
Well, I try to race it every chance I get. I've had it for probably about 10 years. and I rebuilt it, and then I had a great guy, Mark Alcorn, help me with it, and it's been a really fun bike just because you don't see that many twin ports.
So how many horsepower is this bike, and is it competitive against other bikes in its class, or is this one of the best bikes to have in that class?
Well, it's pretty fast. The OSAs, the Lotos are in this class. They're very fast. It's probably even with the Husky 250, which back in the day, the CZ and the Husky were the preeminent bikes.
So Ed, tell me this: when you're not out racing vintage motocross, what do you do for a living?
Oh yeah, I'm a dentist in Sacramento.
A dentist from Sacramento with a 67 CZ 250 twin port. Ed, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. This is the interview I've been waiting for all day. Gino, how does it feel to go from the Concord Poodle rescue into being a celebrity on Facebook? You've been hearing me talk about this bike on the show for a couple of weeks now. 1983 Honda CR250, and we are giving it away. If you want to get involved in the raffle, there's nothing to purchase, nothing to buy. Just go onto your email and email us at vmxqalive@gmail.com. You'll have an opportunity to win this bike. We're giving it away on the show December 23rd, 2020. Of all the bikes I've seen here today, one caught my eye and I just can't stop looking at it. It looks absolutely incredible. It's a 77 Mako, and it looks like it's really just been fully restored or rebuilt. It belongs to Greg Passport. Greg, I gotta ask you, what kind of time have you put into this bike, and how come it's so clean?
Well, I got it about 3 months ago. It needed complete restoration. I went through everything, took it all apart, went through all the bearings, re-greased everything. Jeff Mullins hooked me up. He rebuilt the motor for me. Everything is pretty much new. It's got about 5 minutes on it. I'm getting ready to go out here in a little bit and go put some time on it.
So you'll be racing this bike in which class tomorrow, or is it today that you're racing?
Tomorrow I'm racing in the post-vintage class, which is up to 89. So I'll be racing bikes from 89 to 75.
What other bikes have you raced before this, and how long have you been in vintage? Because you look a little bit younger than some of the vintage guys out here.
I'm actually just getting into the vintage. I've always been into bikes, but I used to ride little MR50s and stuff as a kid. That definitely got my thing going, and then I started racing hill climbs. I was racing hill climbs for a while, but they haven't been running many hill climbs in California much lately, and all the other ones are pretty far to travel and it costs a lot of money. Had to do something else to keep going, so I built this bike, and I've been hooked since I built this. So,
Greg, thanks so much for talking to us. 77 Mako 400, absolutely incredible. We had a great time at the Coupé Classic this weekend, and there were a few other things going on there as well. One of them was a good photographer friend of ours. It's called Mad Photos. His name is Mark. He's at a lot of the events, and he did a great job of taking a lot of pictures this weekend while he was over there in his trailer. Mad Photos. Mark, thanks so much. And you know, anybody who's watching the show who may have a race coming up on your own, if you'd like Jordan and I to come out, record your race, do some of the interviews, do some of the things we just saw right here on the show, we'd be happy to come out. Let us know where you are, when you're having an event, and if we can make it, we will be there. Me, Jordan, and maybe even Gino come along with us.